If you've got hip hop questions, I've got hip hop answers. How the fuck are you guys doing out there? I apologize for not doing one of these last week, but I had these odd things that happened to my laptop, and now my laptop is back up and running, and I'm here for you. So the question that I have today is from Daniel. I don't want to say his last name. He says, Yo, D, I'm a huge fan of Jay Electronica, and I've been waiting for Act 2 since he signed to Rock Nation, but what the fuck is up with this guy? Not only has he been holding back his art from the culture, but he's been fucking around with these heirists of the Rothschild dynasty and doing drugs by his own admission for the past 5 years. Yo, what the fuck? Is this guy some sort of troll or hypocrite? Is this guy the Messiah or Farrakhan of rap? Or is he a figment of our imagination? Has there or will there ever be somebody like him? Please talk about it. This guy is just too talented and fascinating to look past. Thank you for the email, Daniel. Jay Electronica is someone who I've spoken about on the channel, obviously. And if you guys haven't seen the video that I did on Jay Electronica, I will drop it in the description below. Enjoy. The thing with Jay Electronica is that I've spoken of is that there is the intrigue of time and the time off, and it's really the allure about him, not so much his music. Now, of course, when he dropped Act 1, everybody loved it. Jay Electronica was supposed to be the next big thing. And look, you need to look no further than the opinions of his fellow MCs and respected MCs, I would say, from my opinion. Saigon was asked earlier this year, Saigon from Queens, New York. He was asked earlier this year, was Jay Electronica supposed to be the next big conscious rapper? And Saigon answered by saying, I don't know. I didn't hear enough from Jay. He was certainly going in that direction, but there wasn't enough music heard for me to determine if he was the next big conscious rapper. And I think that's how most of you have to approach this. We have to be very careful and stop romanticizing shit, especially with this artist. I do believe that Jay Electronica is talented. That's why we're speaking about him now, even though he hasn't done something in fucking 5-6 years. It's ridiculous that I'm even uttering his name right now. We might as well be making a podcast about Mickey Fax or Charles Hamilton, just artists that just aren't really around anymore. Though I'm pretty sure those two artists are putting out music, but Jay Electronica was just so great that even without putting out anything, you still speak about him. And it's really a shame. When he put out, what was the name of this track? Just a second. He put out a track earlier this year that was about 40. He spit for about 45 seconds, I believe. It was just the smallest sample size. Okay, it was called Better in Tune with the Infinite. Right, Better in Tune with the Infinite. He released this song, and it was the most self-important track that I've heard because it's coming from Jay Electronica, somebody who barely spits, and he gives you about 45 to 50 seconds of lyrics. But before that, he opens it up with, oddly enough, like you mentioned, he opens it up with a Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan in the intro. And then there's another audio after that. And that takes up about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then Jay comes in and spits, "It's so hard when you can't express yourself." Just sounding so depressed. And we don't want to hear this shit, bro. And I know a lot of you guys, you listened to that track and you said, whoa, this is really deep. This is really beautiful. And this is what people need to hear. But I don't fall for that stuff as easily. I don't go for this exclusivity thing where if I hear you just a couple of times, I'm going to appreciate you that much more. I get a couple pieces of a Snickers mini bites and I love it a lot more than having an actual bar. Fuck that. I want the whole fucking chocolate bar. Where are you? Enough with this shit. Enough with this this bullshit. You know what? You know what Jay Electronica reminds me of? I saw a movie about a year and a half ago, and it was called The Tree of Life with Brad Pitt and Sean Penn. I don't know if any of you guys remember this film. And if you haven't seen it, please do not waste your time. I'm going to save your time right now. Half an hour into this film, you didn't get a sense of what the characters were, their relationship with one another. You saw that Brad Pitt was this overbearing father figure who was very hard on his children. And then they panned off to shots of Sean Penn, who looked like this big executive in a building, but he just seemed so morose. And then what you saw mostly throughout that half an hour were shots of mountainscapes and other shots of the moon and the universe. And then you saw a lake, and then you saw a river, and then you saw an ocean, and then you saw a child diving into an ocean. But all the while, you still didn't know what the fuck the characters were doing. You know anything about the film. So the film was taking itself so seriously to where they wanted you to buy into this without giving you anything, without giving you any nugget of knowledge. You just had to sit there and just wait for it. So it was so dependent on how great it thought it was that it wasn't showing you anything at all. And that's Jay Electronica. Jay Electronica is just like that fucking film. And I don't fall for it as quickly and as easily as the rest of you guys out there do. We gotta give more respect even to the shitty people out there. Let's give respect to Tyga. Let's give respect to Young Thug. Let's give respect, to some better artists out there. Let's give respect to J. Cole. Let's give respect to Vince Staples. Let's give respect to people who are out here and who are doing it and putting out their music and getting their music critiqued and getting their music rated, their music getting loved, and they get in Twitter wars and, they get misquoted on magazines and websites and blogs. Let's give people like that more credit, and let's stop giving so much attention to Jay Electronica because he's just on the sideline. Meanwhile, there's that one guy saying, then what? Why are you talking about him then, D? Because someone asked the question, and I am here for you, even though I don't care much for the topic. If Act 2 drops, and I do mean if, okay, of course it's going to be quality music. Of course it is. This is what we expected from him. It's the reason why we're uttering his name at this very minute. But that's not the point. You got to be consistent. You got to be here with us. And this is a classic tale of just what could be just a woman just keeping a man away from his craft. For all we know, and this is the reason why we wonder about this so much, for all we know, what Jay Electronica has wanted out of life is just to be a family man. And to just be with somebody that he loves, raise a child. I believe he has a child with Erykah Badu. I don't know if he has any children outside of that. For all we know, that's all he's really wanted. And we continue to, put this burden upon him and say, yeah, Jay, but when are you going to get back to the music? Notice that all of this that I'm saying, all of this that I'm stating is no fault of Jay Electronica, in my opinion, because he could have quite have changed his mind over the course of the last 5 years and said, you know what, this isn't really a priority. It just so happens that when you make dope records and you're a gifted lyricist, people just paint you with that brush and they say, that's it. That's what you are. But for all we know, the man's in love. The man's a family man. He's enjoying the rest of his life overseas, and that's just going to be his reality. And then maybe in 10 years, he drops Act 2, and everyone is so relieved and everyone is so excited. And then it's these annoying fucking moments in hip hop where people say shit like, this is what's important. This is the real thing. You've got to pay attention to this. Forget everything that you hear on the radio. Take Jay Electronica seriously. Ugh. Meanwhile, Jay Electronica's in Milan smoking a blunt in a cafe having brunch. And you guys take him so fucking seriously. This isn't his fault. This isn't his fault. This is almost sort of like what I said about Ab-Soul, the first video that I did about Ab-Soul, where when somebody is great with words and has a philosophical nature, we all of a sudden, just everything that they do has some deep poetic meaning when it can just be exactly what it is. Maybe the guy just doesn't want to make music anymore. Maybe he's lazy. Maybe this is just a very good marketing tool where he's going to wait 3 more years and then hit you upside the head with a fucking classic on Act 2. I have no idea. But until then, this isn't his fault. I'm sick and tired of having to give a shit about Jay Electronica when obviously he doesn't give a shit about you. I got one more analogy before I get the hell out of here. Maybe I do too many analogies, but that's just the way my mind works. You're working a retail job where you're making minimum wage, right? You're mopping up floors, you're doing whatever, you're stocking up the shelves, and your manager's always fucking yelling at you and calling you a piece of shit. And every week you look at your check and your check is, it's peanuts. It's nothing. You should never take that job too seriously. And why shouldn't we take that job seriously, d.respect? Well, it's this reason right here, kiddies. Just listen up. The job isn't taking you seriously. So why should you?